Good day and welcome back. The student StarCraft AI tournament is live again, and it's been an interesting week, not only because so much has been happening in-game, but more has been happening outside of the game. Least of all is the release of the StarCraft 2 API, which I won't say much about because that isn't really the place for here, but if you have been following the news on Twitter, on Facebook, on Battle.net even, it's Dave Churchill again, who has been working really hard with the guys at Blizzard, and he's been AIing his ass off once more, and is also bringing the fight to StarCraft 2. A lot of attention has been garnered, and that's also because it's the newer game and perhaps a little bit better known. But what kind of music is this? Oh, it's the last bit. Okay, so I've put the music on repeat. And what we see here is hard-coded, the Zerg. Of course, lots of drones are out scouting, and the first 6 Zerglings make their way out. It's one of the bots of the Gold project, and after Gemmet it's the second one. So looks like it's just going to do a bunch of Zerglings. And I don't know, the drones appear to be going back home. No drones have been built at all. And Roman Danielis is going for a 3-gate. And the first zealot out now, second will be starting soon. And there will be some probe micro needed. Oh, and especially some zealot micro, because this is not going to work. What is that stupid zealot going to do? I couldn't tell, but if he keeps the zealots, the Zerglings, away from the base, it will give time to the probe production, and of course more gateways being built. Now the 3 original drones have been back to mining, and only 1 overlord. So the question is, will this be a masterstroke on the part of Roman Danielis to just take the Zerglings for a wild run across the map, in the meanwhile producing more soldiers at home? You can see only 4 army supply, that's not a lot, and a small peak in the production, 2 zealots being produced, and lots of pylons. So I think, oh, the zealot is now dead, so we've got about 12 Zerglings versus 2 zealots, and now the zealots do come off the line to fight, and the first 2 zealots get cleaned up with only very minor shield damage. And you can see that, although this is a nice bit of a Zergling train, but it is 3 zealots, and zealots are pretty good. So I don't really think that Zerg can do too much here. The zealots, oh, 2 falls, and another one falls as well. But I don't really see these 2 remaining Zerglings. No, there comes another zealot. And by this time the worker discrepancy is just too bad. It's almost 20 to 3, and with only 1 hatchery I can't really see this going anywhere. As you can see, 5 army supply for Zerg, 10 Protoss, and technology will be added as well. Oh, that's a nice, oh, that is another one of those buns in the barrel of Zerglings for hard-coded. Hard-coded has got an extra overlord, so it can make things, but by this time the zealot train is just too large. And there is an expansion, there is technology, another gateway. I just can't see this going anywhere. And Roman Danielis, although got a bit lucky with the first zealot taking that Zergling out on... Oh, that's the old one. Why is it the old one? I wanted this one. Okay, so sorry about that, but by now the zealots are out on the map. And Protoss is impregnable with the Goon army. Lots of goons. Army supply-wise is 22, 4 to 5, 26. And Roman Danielis had enough, so moving out now and going for the kill. As you can see, a couple of cannons at home, taking care of all the Zerglings there are, and technology coming as well. The Protoss death train is moving back to base once more. Don't know what that's about, because it could be over any time the A-move command were finalized and ending up here, but no cigar. Of course you need a Corsair for this. This Corsairs are cool. Oh, a goon falling, that's unfortunate, but in the grand scheme of things, it's now 74 versus 3 workers. And third base being taken by Danielis. That's only making very sure that nothing can ever go wrong again. Got a scout, and that's always nice to see, because scouts, as you know, are pretty effective against Zerglings. The Protoss army is now 50 versus 3 in supply, and that is going to be... Is that going to be the nail in the coffin? The last nail in the coffin? Yep, there we go. And that's the GG. Roman Danielis doing it. Hard-coded, welcome to the show. Going to need a little bit of work. And for the remainder of the broadcast, I'm just going to show you a little bit of what happened over the last couple of weeks, update-wise, which bots have been improved and how it's going to play out. I took another game for a new Zerg. It's called Kill All. And Kill All, of course, is something completely different than a 4-pool, starting off with a lot of workers. And if my voice is a bit hoarse, I must apologize for that. I've been I've been on a holiday for 2 weeks, and most of that I've been sick, so that's a bit of an unfortunate thing. But of course now I'm back in the saddle and casting a lot of good games, so at least I hope they're going to be good. This drone not getting caught by the... Oh, he's getting caught by the... Oh, that would be very unfortunate if it got stuck indefinitely, but yeah, it finds another way. Not going for the natural for some reason. Garmbot or Lermand is not going for its own natural. It likes to take the opponent's natural for some reason. And Kill All is going to wait a little bit before killing all. Is stacking a lot of minerals and now going for an extra hatchery. This might be a creep colony, and here is going to be placed the first expansion of Garmbot. And I'd like to do a Zerg versus Zerg, especially one with Garmbot in it, because Garmbot I think is still one of the craziest products of brutal AI out there. It just takes all the bases and A moves units. And here we go with the first batch of Zerglings going to town. Oh, the Kill All Zerglings are retreating. That's pretty pro. And now with superior numbers, take care of... Ooh, that's pretty close. I don't know why the other ones are retiring. And there we go. Of course, with the Sunken here, this base is pretty safe. I don't know what that Overlord's trying to hump. It looks like the other one, but you never know. And that is a Zergling, so Kill All going for a lot of sunk colonies now with 2 hatcheries. Worker count is okay, and the question is what this is going to be. Worker count for Kill All is more than okay on one base, and Garmbot is just going to feed Zerglings and whatever else it can produce into this base, but with 4 Sunkens and then the direction of 2 hatcheries, I can't really see that doing very much. Of course, the natural is up, or the second base I should say, more likely, because the natural, of course, being here, not really working for Garm at the moment. And you can see the worker numbers for Garm have been a little bit better after the last update, which was about a year ago, I don't know, long ago. It used to make very few workers and take 12 bases with 20 workers or something. That's not absolutely ludicrous. And that looks like some kind of a lurker play. Because with a lair and an evolution chamber, perhaps, no, that's another hatchery. That's just going to be one base play for Kill All, going to speed it up just a notch, because we all know what Garmbot is going to do, just make workers and Hydras and Zerglings and A-move them. Ooh, that's a good snipe on the outgoing drone for Kill All. And now the Zerglings for Kill All are making their way across the map, but they are getting chewed on a little bit, but this is a nice wave. And that Hydra is going to fall, and now the question is there any more defense here, or is it just going to be the rallies and that one sunken? If that's the case, it might be difficult to hold off this swell of Zerglings. Oh, and the Zerglings are going for the drones, which instantly burrow one just a little bit too late. And now it's the Sunken versus the Zerglings. And with 4 hatcheries, if that's going to be a concerted attack, it's going to be easy going for the green Zerg, because the main has no anti-air defenses, and with that sunken down and Pyros down, it's just going to be insufficient to hold off the swarm. And that's a nice number of Zerglings, so you can do a one-base play pretty effectively. Question will be though what Garmbot is going to do, getting stuck here a little bit on that neutral power generator. These neutral power generators and other buildings have been implemented in, or have been, of course they've been in maps to make them more interesting, and you can break that down to after the early game has passed. And there we go, now finding another base. But we pick those maps for the AIs that we give those AIs with custom pathfinding a leg up versus those who just use the Blizzard built-in pathfinding. As you see, Blizzard pathfinding doesn't take into account these neutral buildings which are in impossible positions. It can't really deal with that. And if you encounter such a building, it treats it as not there at all. And that's a nice swarm with just one big control group. You can see it swarming across the map. It's 10 versus 60 army supply. And Garmbot is killing a worker here or there, but I think every time that this pack will find a base, it's going to tear it down relatively quickly. And this base will have been found, yeah. No, not yet. Oh, there it is. But we've got a lurker, and without any kind of detection, it's going to do an awful lot of damage versus these 4 Zerglings. Oh god, look at that. That was a lot of army supply wasted. Then, of course, there is just too many mutas, and kill all beats Garmbot. Congratulations. And as also, I must apologize for not really having a theme this time. I just took a couple of bots which had been upgraded and put it together quickly so I could do a cast, and I hope I can. My voice will hold out and my general strength too, but let's find out what this is going to be, because we've got Eric Hammer has been pushing another update, couple of updates over the last couple of weeks, 2 weeks I haven't been here. And Hannes Bradberg, of course, is the man with the power tools, the man with the nukes, and it's going to be a pleasure as always to see if this game will reach a stage where nukes will be coming in. Of course, all the Marines they're gathering up a small posse to be able to fight off the Zerglings more efficiently. Eric Hammer not taking any chances, and I like that. Oh, I would have liked the 2. But then again, if you've got this number of Marines on the map, you build a couple of tree colonies and then only move them and morph them into sunkens if you see these Marines pressuring you, and 3 sunkens is quite enough, and I like that it doesn't go over the top with that. Bradberg going for a couple of upgrades from the academy, and then into the first factory, so no surprises there. What will Eric Hammer do? Eric Hammer going for a relatively quick layer, only 16, 15 workers. Is that going to be a hatchery, or is it going to be some kind of a lurker play? Looks like lurker play, and a couple of more sunkens to just make sure these pesky Marines don't move in all at once. Bradberg going for the expansion, a relatively high worker count on the main, no worker transfer, that's you would expect that, and a quick third, because I think it only does nuclear silos from the 4th command center upwards, and then it would be an advantage to have more command centers quickly. Eric Hammer staying on 2 base very long with a small army, not really doing any damage, taking a third now, putting its army together, moving a couple of lurkers. That, of course, is not the ideal place, and these Marines are going to make short work of that. Without any lurkers, this Marine train will eventually become a huge problem, because it's just going to be so very large, and there you've got a nice number of sunkens. Okay, well, if they run from the Zerglings, Eric Hammer now taking the field, taking stock. Hannes Bradberg with 20 army supply, and Eric Hammer going for a very quick 4th and a 5th. Good morning. That's pretty pro. Of course, this one has been found, and that lurker, oh, good finish, but oh, and Bradberg with a nice scan, going to tear it down. Hammer is very aggressive, macro-wise, on such a small map, taking another fourth, and now that's the third base. This is going to be the fourth base, so here should be a nuclear silo. Of course, there is a covert ops and lots of barracks, so Bradberg is going for a lot of infantry. And this lurker micro is subpar to say the least, because it's only burrowing, unburrowing all the time and not really... Oh, is that base under attack? Are they running so fast without really fighting with the other groups? Yeah, they're going to protect the base, that's pretty pro. But the lurkers could be a little bit more efficient, just zoning off chokes or something, I don't know. Bradberg taking a base right in the territory of Arakamas, and that's the first nuclear silo, of course. And Bradberg said, well, you've got to cast this on screen, because then you get an overlay and you also get a warning text message. Please be informed that the nuke will be landing on the such and such coordinates. And this lurker has sort of stalled to, for the moment, Arakama doing this on 8 army supply, God knows why. Lots of money stacked, and I think that this game has... Yeah, this game's gone over. And that's unfortunate, because it's just two such good bots which haven't been able to show their full potential. And I'll have to dig up TSMU and Im42 to do something about that, because it's happening too often. So I wanted to show a game of Bradberg, so let's take another one of Bradberg's. Let's make it a large one. And let me see which one I've got now, because I've got this one now. Perhaps in the oh, I've got another one. Sorry, I shouldn't be boring you with this. This game is over. Going to slap in the next one, because it's just not worth it. And what did we have? Yeah, I had another one. I had one versus Overkill. And again, we've got Hannes Bradberg as the Orange Terran. We've got Overkill, coded by Sijashu from China, is in the AIDE list too. So that's something to look forward to as well. And we can see Sijashu's Overkill going for the first initial Zerglings, and Bradberg just not really daring to engage, although the Zergling numbers are quite low, losing mining time, losing SCVs. And Overkill is just going to pour on the pressure, but by this time the Marine numbers will have grown somewhat, I hope. Otherwise it's going to be a very short game. And where are those stupid Marines? This is really beyond me. I don't know what the combat sim could do with some tuning, but by now the Marines have secured the base. And although Bradberg's got only 6 workers, Overkill still on one base, has done the damage but hasn't really exploited the edge it got, hasn't taken an expansion, and by now there are just so many Marines that with a one base Zergling thing you can't really put any more pressure on the Terran. Work numbers for Overkill are okay. Now a natural taken, oh god, where are we going? Small number of Zerglings being attacked by a larger number of Marines, army supply wise, Bradberg approaching 20, and with only Zerglings that expansion is in a perilous position, I can tell you that. Bradberg just going for lots and lots of Marines. We'll have to replace the worker numbers first, because still on 14 that's not a lot. And now going, how will the Zerglings fight? The Zerglings will fight finally, but Marines are just too good. And it's 15 versus 0 army supply. These Sunkens are not doing anything. And that natural is about to fall. Bradberg finally going for more workers and Marines. Well, they can try to make their way across the ramp. But with the Sunkens and the Lings, I don't really see this working at all. The Lings hugging that Sunken for reasons, I don't know. and Marines once in a while taking the spine, just taking damage. That's not good. But Bradberg macroing up, and once the worker numbers are there, taking another base and just keeping the enemy contained. Overkill, going for another hatchery for a spire. But what kind of reasonable user number can you build off one base? Especially if the enemy is going pure bio, that seems unlikely to work. Now, Bradberg taking up. Starport. And they just don't want to engage those Sunkens, and it's going to be a mess. How many meters have we got? We've got a number-ish, and that was a suitable position for a hatchery. Is going to be mown down by a couple of Marines. And these Marines taking so many hits from these Sunkens. That's quite extraordinary as well. Third being taken by Bradberg, and of course we know the fourth is going to be a silo, so let's hope. I really don't know when these Marines have had enough, or when the Zergs had enough. Let's take stock. We've got production. Zergs not producing anything at all. And we've got 5 mutas and the rest of the Marines, so that's not going to work. And Zerg losing a lot of money here with the muta going down repeatedly. Mutas making a small sortie, but that's not going to be enough. And oh, that's the third with a nuke already, so that's pretty good. I think that's the only way in which Bradberg can bust this sunken defense. Losing so much. And the funny thing is that Overkill, for such an accomplished bot as it is just losing so many hatcheries in this exact location. That amazes me. Oh, and the first nuke didn't land. Now with Cloak, but there was an Overlord, so it's not really working anymore. And then first nuke got wasted. Bradberg got a lot of units, but if only the Ghost ever attack those sunken colonies, it's not going to work, is it? And this is just a bit of a clusterfuck of game. Oh, finally the Marines get in for the action as well. That was a nuke. Is there a nuke? Because if a nuke were to hit here, it would be game over instantly. We've got a silo there, silo here, silos everywhere. And it's only waiting for the first nuke to land. Go to speed it up a notch. Oh, there's one. Yeah, and that's a pretty good place too, because, well, the enemy army size is 0. That's a lot of units wasted. So, Bradberg, yeah, well... Oh, that's another one. Always nice to see. Another one. Hello, goodbye. Say goodbye to your friend. And they're going to mess about some more. And that's a good game. Okay, well, that wasn't really worth it. So let's do a straight up game between BFT Joe and McRave. Both have been updating their bots, so let's go and find out what it is. And I hope I can show you a good game, because we started off with a couple of the new guys, and Hannes Bradberg, which of course the new bot can produce good results, but it was a bit lackluster. And BFT Joe going for a couple of Zerglings and RB's cannons. I really can't wrap my head around why they do that. And McRave is trying, looks like it's trying to take a leave of Xim, the carrier bot's book. Walling in with cannons. Oh, and I like that. Building technology dispersed over your bases. A drone got in, that's pretty good. And behind that is just going to be core and BFT Joe. BFT Joe's got the map, so it's losing a lot of units. I can't really believe that. There's just so much, it's still so much damage taken for free, and I don't know why these bots are doing it. It's some kind of conflict between attacking and moving back, but just got to take a ballpark figure of the defensive value and do something with that, and then commit a force to attack and see what happens. You can't just run in and out all the time, which is going to cost you hit points and units and ultimately the game. McGrave going for a large army, 22 versus 6.5 army supply, 4th base being taken by BFT Joe forward, that's pretty good. And worker-wise, 31 workers, that's pretty good for a Zerg without an army. Of course, you'd really like an army. And BFT Joe, although you've got 1, 2, 3, 4th base is sort of up, not mining yet. You can't really rely on that. You're going to need forces, and 6.5 army supply is just not going to be enough. And we see, oh god, not again. Oh well, McRae is still building, but I just don't like this money being stacked and saved for reasons. Is that going to be, that's not going to be a Spire, and BFT Joe going crazy with all kinds of defensive stuff, and only 6.5 army supply. What's that about? I don't... Yeah, you can try to fight this army with your 6.5 army supply, but it's just crazy, and taking another base is crazy too. And you've got a lot of money, you just should do something with that. McRave seems to be okay, and BFT Joe seems to have a bad commit or something, because that's just way too many Sunkens and no army at all. No army at all. Oh, that's two Hydras, but I can't really be impressed. McRave doing things the right way, just build a large army and push out, and after you've pushed out you can take a third. That's pretty good. Tech a little bit, not too much, just production, get an army up, and do something with that. BFT Joe seems to have keeled over completely, not doing anything. And oh, his god is building a couple of links, that's good. It's 1 army supply versus 70. That's going to teach them. And more defensive structures. No, that's never ever going to work. Here comes the Death Train, and the Death Train is going to tear down your measly sunken defense anyway, so don't bother just jumping on you. Oh god, here goes the main. Oh, but they can't wait to come back to kill the main. Here comes an observer to observe the regeneration of that Evo chamber. And by now, it's one big army, Brave maxed, in one control group. It's going to try and take the map. BFT Joe with 13 army supplies somewhere in something, a couple of Hydras in the middle of the map. I really cannot be... I cannot agree with myself what's going on. If the replay viewer is corrupt, or if this set of games just god awful, we had one crash already, we've got a 4 killer, and the Rave is just going to be all over this, and BFT Joe is not going to do anything about that. That's... yeah, here goes the last base. Sorry. Let's hop into the next game, and it's Lucas Moravec. And Lucas, I know Lucas that he likes to build a nice army and do things with that. So once you're there, you are doing well. And it's a thing to keep in mind if you are operating an AI or a bot, that you just need an army, and that's one of the conditions to be in any game, because if you haven't got an army, you're not going to do anything, you're not going to get anything done, and it doesn't really matter if your building placement's okay, or if you've got fancy micro. If you haven't got an army, you can't micro it. And your technology is only limited by which kind of army you've got. So it's all about the army, I feel like, and bots which are consistently doing well always have got an army, and I've never ever trying to do some kind of wacky build of 6 hatcheries and 0 army, or taking bases all across the map and without an army. You can see a couple of gates, a couple of... oh, that's a lot of technology on the base. So both players taking a very frugal approach to the game, just lots of workers, lots of technology. And at least Moravec's got a natural up, but only 1 base, 1 hatch, no. And I like to see play. Oh god, is there no detection? There is detection, it's going to be horribly late. With only 1 comsat, it's going to be a bit of a massacre. And that really disappointed from Ice, because I thought he had mined up with some kind of detection. But with only 1 comsat, you can't really get anything done. You can scare one more time, but after that, will we have spider mines or we get the bases first? No turrets, no vessels, nothing. And that is the scan, and now we've got some mines, so for the time being I think ice is okay. And the reason I picked this game between Lucas Moravec and Ice Labs is that Ice Labs is one of these benchmarks in the game, and if you... oh, that's pretty well done with the mines. If you can take a game of Ice Lab, it just means you've got doing well. Lucas Moravec now laying off with the cuteness, stacking a couple of Templar, and should be taking a third. Don't know if it can do so. If it's not able to take a third, Ice is just going to run away with this. And I must say that I'm sort of disappointed with the army size of Moravec, but Moravec now going to build more units with the High Templar. You're not going to play Minesweeper with a High Templar, surely. And this is something oh god. This is just like the critical boundary for... oh! God. Whoa, those turrets are really going crazy. Fire, please, fire. Oh god. And Ice, I think, is just going to run away with it. He's got the minefield and those, clearing it up a little bit with the observer. There are turrets now and another comsat, so in the long run, if this tank count keeps growing, yeah, you can't take that base because there is a spider mine there, and that will fix still working. So if you can beat Ice Labs, you're doing well. If you cannot, you basically have got some debilitating errors or lack of proficiencies in your belt, which are going to make it very hard to progress. And not being able to take a base which has been mined, that's one of those things, because there are so many Terran bots and they're all doing that. So you need to be able to do that. Oh, look at those tanks. Look at those tanks, that is very good. And if you're going to use a shuttle for some kind of shenanigans, you should be able to pick a spot where to attack. And I think that in this game Moravec's got one more push in him, but if he isn't able to take a third or pull some magic out of his ear, then it's going to be a hard fight, because these Templar and this one Reaver are not going to keep him into the game forever. And especially versus tanks, Reavers and Templar are okay, but you need some kind of micro to do that. And Ice is just, look at that, that's the guns are never ending for you. It's going to be a never ending battle to break that. These scarabs are going crazy all across the place. Supply wise, Ice Labs is catching up in army supply, and we'll be looking to take a third too. Of course, it is detecting. Oh, there we go. There goes the SCV, and once that third gets up, Maiden for Moravec is getting very low, and wow, that's a lot of Templar. Should do something with that shuttle, because it is your way to mobility, and once you've got Ice Lab contained, you should prevent him from taking another base. So that's just another scouting SUV. That's impressive. And this is just a loss of High Templar. That's just very expensive, can't let that happen. And here come the tanks, and you're just going to need micro with good flanks to be able to stop that. Doesn't look like that's coming. Look at Icebot leapfrogging the tanks, sieging and sieging, just moving forward, ever inching closer to the enemy. Of course, the main is out, you have Rob behind the National, and Icebot still wipes the forward, and more of that. That's a good score, that's another good score, but you've got to be more on point, and that is the game. Third up for Ice, and Ice not taking any prisoners, not again, not ever, not this game. So, yeah, what have we more? Antigua versus Sparks is something I'd like to see as well, because I saw Antigua got updated, and I always like to see how Zerg's getting along, because you've got those a couple of stages in Zerg's development. You've got the 4-pool stage, and which of course is easy because the example bot which gets shipped with every brute or AI installation is a 4-pool bot. And then you've got those which expand and do a Hydra push or do hard-coded stuff. And then it gets progressively harder. Oh, that's a nice Zerg push because Sparks is completely without an army. 2 Marines and a couple of SUVs. Oh, and the Zerglings couldn't make up their mind, so most of the numbers got cut down. And workers between and army together, that's a good setup to shield those Marines with your workers. Very well done. So once you've got that stage where you can expand and make a build order, you are going to need to do something about those Terran and Protoss and other Zergs which are more advanced. And this is just cute. They both go back to mining. I think another drone will shortly attempt to make a base as well. Oh, that's a very quick push from Sparks. A couple of Zerglings dying across the place. Not really doing anything versus these mechanized units. We've got a Sunken, but it's not in the right place, and that's an interesting building. You can see Antigua doing this of 2.5 army supply, not going to work. I'd like to have to see it happen further in the development, but it looks like it will be a hard fight to take, especially as I think that's going to be siege mode. If siege mode gets done, you can just forget about doing things with Zerglings, and if there's going to be a 2-base new to play, the build order is very sloppy. Oh dear, oh dear. Hatcheries all over the place, and the Spire in a very dangerous position. So yeah, you are going to get a couple of meters out. Oh, that's a nice number of meters. And if the Marines decide to bugger off and not bother too much about those tanks, it's 4 tank day, and Antigua, well, got away with it this time. Got away with it, and now tearing straight into the enemy base because there's nothing there. There's no anti-air, and although the army supply, oh, Sparks is okay. Oh, we've got that bunker, but by now the working classes are standing about. They are tracing that bunker. Are they repairing it? Yeah, it looks like it, but they are dying like fools, and that's not good. No third by Antigua, so that's a 2-base new to play with a wacky build order for you. And Sparks couldn't get his stuff together, so Antigua doing okay, because you surpassed the 4-pool stage and you can, oh hello, pull off a decent build order, make some decent decisions about when to attack, when to run. And Sparks, of course, has killed over. There is one worker somewhere. God knows where, but there is one. It's not mining, so it's basically over, and just waiting for more reinforcements to join the fun. Antigua could make a lot of, yeah, there come the Zerglings just to make up the mineral, to spend those minerals and something, and the DPS of Zerglings is even better than those of Battle. So that's the GG. And I thought, well, Sparks, let's see what it can do, and I took another fight with it versus Casia bot. Casia also not going to do a 4-pool, I like that, and I should just have, for good measure, taken a couple of games of TCMU on Zerg, TCMU Zerg, Arik Hammer, Killer Bot, Microwave, BFT Joe Zerg, just to show what Zerg play is all about. I've always got those brilliant ideas about the theme of the broadcast halfway through, and usually I keep them to myself. Ooh, and Sparks really getting a beating from those few Zerglings, that's not good at all. And Casia bot doing okay. It's got 9 workers, got an expansion coming up, and it's got a lot of links, and the workers for Sparks are just absolutely crazy. Oh, and now, oh, they were trying to repair, but they didn't have the minerals, so that was unfortunate. But Casia's not going to mess about, just going to feed Zerglings, going for the throat, and with a Hydra Den behind that, a couple of workers, gas being mined, and that's, I think that's the basis of good play. Just have an army, use it, and then worry about tech or expanding, but always have a small army and use it to its full effect, and that is the game. Casia bot taking a good game, And now I'd like to see if I've got any kind of TVZ. We've got a ZVP. Oh, shut up. How do I want to open this file? With the replay viewer, please. And this is, I think, the best Zerg out there at the moment. Perhaps with TSCMU, perhaps with, well, never discredits team habits. Should be interesting to see what actually is the best Zerg at the moment, if you can draw up some criterion for that, or criteria, because it's going to be very complex. But Eric Hammer is attempting another benchmark AI, and it's Ximp, the carrier bot, which does a near perfect roll-up with cannons and the forge. Then behind that, techs like crazy, builds another base and does a 2-base carrier push. Eric Hammer going for a very greedy 3-base before even starting, no, that's an overlord, even starting the pool. And in the case of Eric Hammer, I know that this is because, oh wow, you get a lot of time from Ximp. It's very forgiving, you can just, it likes to take its time macro up, rely on the static defense here. And oh, it took this base, that's always nice, I don't know why. And Eric Hammer taking the 4th army supply, still 0, just droning, building expansions. And have we got any kind of upgrades, Hydra speed and air, no, ground armor, Hydra, range. So yeah, that's the way to do it, just sit back, mass up an army, and Ximp is going to try carriers off the ground of 2 bases, which will leave you with a lot of time. You can just build a lot of bases, and only now is Eric Hammer starting with the army supply. But you can see with the huge economy it's got, 30 drones, it can build a lot of Hydras relatively quickly. It's got 11 now, and are they going to try and put pressure on these? Those are only 3 cannons. The rest of the cannons is here, and that's going to be dangerous. Where is the home defense army? These 3 cannons, they may even fall to this support the Hydra army, and you can see more Hydras coming, so that's a way to tackle this problem. Carriers aren't done yet, and once that forge is unpowered, it's going to be a hard fight for Ximp to deal with, and that's really could cost him the game, having taken the expansion here. Eric Hammer, meanwhile, is showing no mercy, just building bases all across the map. Worker count relatively low, 36 workers for 1 to 4 bases is okay. Are these cannons? Where are the carriers? The carriers should be done momentarily, and then we can see what difficult unit the carrier is for an AI to deal with. We've got the first one here with the small ground army of Ximp is coming off the line, and now Ximp will have to make interceptors. And chances are it won't be able to do so. The carriers are not finished, they are under attack, and the cannons are being taken down. So Eric Hammer with a well-tailored build, taking down Ximp, and what the last step is for an AI to recognize what's going on, what the enemy is playing, and devise a build of its own to counter that. And that's not happening now, and I don't know if there was any AI which can do that. Oh, now we've got a small cluster of carriers which have managed to build some interceptors, but the Hydra count is too big and the maiden's been wasted. But you can see those Hydras are messing about, they see an interceptor, they target it, and then it moves back to base, making it disappear once again. And these units here, they have 0 damage, so for some reason they don't represent a threat to the combat simulator. And the Hydramans are just too big, it's just going to be all Eric Hammer across the map now. And this cannon was a little bit sturdier, so Eric Hammer should look out that he doesn't lose half of his Hydras here and half there. It should really take a big fight and finish that. We've got the first 4 carriers out, but Ximp in 1 base is not really doing anything with that. And the Hydra we've got, that's just awful. The Hydras are too many, and with too many Hydras comes great responsibility and ownage. Another base being taken by Ximp, that's pretty well done. But all the technology is going to be torn to pieces relatively quickly. But the main has been taken, and now the Hydras are... They decided to fight these cannons, and now they're caught between two carriers and the cannons are still there-ish. There is no forge, so they can't be rebuilt, and Arakami just taking a base here. Army supply-wise, it's going to be way out of control. Simp with only two carriers and a couple of interceptors. Doing okay, but this base... Oh, there is a new forge somewhere. Where is it? It's here. It's not powered, but obviously that's not a problem. And what Simp should do is just fight with the carriers and the cannons in tandem. And look, oh, we've got a defiler. I like that. Let's see what it does. Let's see what it does. It's got full energy, there are cannons, there are... Swarm! Yup, there we go. Oh, nicely done. Well done, Arakama. You've learned to master... And oh, there is one carrier left somewhere. Can't see where it is. It's here. And we've got Plague in the wall, and all the Zergans die. So that's pretty well done. And I like when Zerg learn new tricks like Swarm. It's of course hard to use it. Protection from the carrier should be inclined to interfere in this battle. Lots of Swarms stacked, that's a bit wasteful. But I think that Arakama's got this game in the bag. If you look at the army supply, it's 6 versus 51. And that was the base. This poor single carrier. No, you can't really get it done, can you, as a single carrier? The army is going to be victorious, and that's the game. Okay, well, beat Arakama with a fixed build order. And... okay, well, let's... I just took a couple of games to amuse myself and show what's going on. Ironbot has been updated, and Ironbot has been struggling with that build order of Arakama. Also a fixed build order with Hydras to intercept the vultures, and then a neuter switch to kill the tanks and switch back to Hydras. It's just very hard to do, and Iron with the generic build order, it can't really keep up with that, and that's still the difference between victory and defeat. If a human starts to think for an AI, it's always better. And if AIs will have to start thinking for themselves, it's just a lot of work, and it's there is so much which can go wrong. So I thought, well, let's see how TSC with Protoss. It's one of the bots with the best thinking and reactive capabilities still. How that's going to do versus Iron. Iron, of course, is going for the harassment style, and that's a nice minefield, and that's a very nice wall-off, but with all these SCVs milling about, it's hard for a tank to leave the base. No expansion yet, and TSCMU going for a small gateway army. It's got 17, 15 army supply because something just kicked it. But with the expansion up and a lot of tech coming up too, so Iron trying to do the contain with the vultures, with the SCVs, but isn't really getting anything done versus TSCMU. Oh, and that's nice, but... And immediately a goon comes back to help as well. TSCMU is so advanced, and I'd really like to see him get back to developing AIs proper, because he's so clever. And that's nice tank placement by Ironbot. Of course you'd like to have him here, but obviously he's trying to do something with that terrain that makes it almost impossible for a Dragoon to attack a tank being sieged here. Now the expansion for Iron is up. Army supply wise it's okay, and TSCMU is trying to keep its zone of influence clear of any kind of vulture and tank shenanigans. Ironbot, however, is approaching with the mines! Oh, so many mines, but the goons of TSCMU clean it up. To die to a mine, I think. Ooh, taking a lot of mine hits, that's unfortunate. And you can see Ironbot with 3 bases now, lots of defensive play, no tanks in the front line, and a nice run by off the vultures, losing a lot of workers, and There we go, lots of vultures died too. There is a wraith, and the wraith is fixated on the shuttle. Shuttle with two, what are they called, reavers in it. Should do something with that, but TSU is just going to do a harassment style of its own. And Gateway Army is swarming the map. I don't know what that's about, because we saw Hans Bradler take this base in the game versus God knows who. TC moves onto it though, so these three goons are going to tear this down nicely and slowly, while the other reinforcements take down whatever is going to help. Now I wonder, oh, here come the tanks, where the tank core was, but there it is. And TSU's got a nice army. And a couple of Dark Templars too, so let's see what it's going to do now with the goons and the Dark Templar. Oh hello, why are you going back? Oh, because there is a science vessel, that's a good enough reason. This base is not really mining at this point. The question is, where is that shuttle with two reavers? It's there, and now going to do damage. Shuttle should be careful though, because they don't have too many hit points. TSMU with the gateway unit chasing away the tank contain and taking a third base, so I think that's always a good idea to do. And this passage has been cleared. That's always been cleared. No, the temples are still there. The minerals here have been mined though. That's something that TSMU knows how to deal with. This shuttle can't properly get out because there is a raid, and these are these mutual harassment things which are getting into each other's way. The Wraith can't really get anything done, and these two goons are really doing a monstrous job of shutting that base down. Meanwhile, Ironbot with the 30 army supply is yeah, it's doing okay, contesting the middle of the map, and that Wraith is not getting it done. Oh, and now with the Reaver versus the SCVs, that's imbalanced. Wraith's getting repaired though, so the shuttle going down. Now the Reaver 2, the Goons are not coming off to help, but now with Dark Templars 2, I think this base is pretty much gone, and it's a 3 versus 2 base situation. Of course, that's not a good way to take a 4th base unless you are able to project massive force in the middle of the map. And I am now making this work with the tanks in the middle of the map. TSMU is too harassy. I am going for the kill, and although this base is going to live because the SCVs are just so aggressive, they will take down that Dragoon. And one Dragoon harass is nearly as strong as a 2 Dragoon harass, and although lots and lots of SCVs have been killed, this is not going anywhere, and although the main is mined out, the natural's not just getting low, and TSMU is doing okay, just hanging in there with a lot of high-tech units. But with the siege tank, when you've got the natural under siege by siege tanks, it's not going well. It's 18 versus 31 army supply, and this Reaver is sort of stuck. That's unfortunate. And there is no shuttle, so I am taking the natural by force, shutting it down, working out is low, and this base is finally up and running, so Iron is going to take this game. Going to call the GG, because this is well and over. And then I thought, well, let's have a game, but obviously that was a bit much. I don't know what that is. Let's try again. Sorry about that. I have to rehost.
I suspect you have a good reason for taking me away from my...
What the bloody hell is that? Live action tribute. Have we been watching that all the time? Remastered, and please make it a loop. Okay, so I thought I'd pick a game between Crazio and Ironbot to see how this is evolving. For the last couple of weeks, it's a bit of a toss-up if Iron gets can get its contain up, Crazio's in a lot of trouble. But Crazio is doing some... Bloody hell, what is this? I can't use my... Sorry, reloading again. I can't scroll for some reason. Okay, now I'm back. Last couple of weeks it's been a bit of a toss-up. If Iron can get its contain going, it's got the edge over Crazio. And if it can't, Crazio will do some kind of a stab with tanks or with raids, and then it's going to be over. Speeding up the initial stages of the game because why not? And there we go. Crazio going for the bunker with a little bit tech behind that. Iron doing it without the bunker, but these builds are basically symmetrical. And here we have the contain of Iron bots. Tune this down a little bit. Crazio now being contained, losing 2 SCVs mining time, and we've got the Wraith. Where is the Wraith? The Wraith is there and it's out there, pushing back the Vultures. But it's not really succeeding. It's got 2 Wraiths, and what you'd like to do is hunt with them in pair and just tag a Vulture and kill that. Now with the tank trying do something about that contain. Iron with expansion, Crazio with the slightly later expansion. But with the Wraiths, I think for now Crazio's got the map. And these Vultures are taking a lot of damage. You can see Crazio's army supply is equal to that of Iron, and Iron's got a lot of inferior or less expensive units. Crazio's got a couple of tanks and Wraiths, and Iron's army supply is all in Marines and Vultures. So yeah, that looks like a very early push by Crazio. We've got 3 Wraiths. And of course there's going to be anti-air, and I'd like that. Because earlier Iron was very hesitant in producing any kind of Goliath 3, but now it's got a couple, and it's now for Crazio to get... Oh, it's got Cloak, that's pretty nifty. It's got Cloak, it's got its base up, worker count nearly identical, army count slightly in favour of Crazio. And those Wraiths are really doing something, and between the Wraiths and the tanks I think Crazio's got the better composition at the moment, because Iron, although he has got a lot of harassment units, he's got the wrong harassment units for the army composition of Crazio, because these tanks and these Wraiths can just sit there and dominate the map all night long, and Crazio could either take a third or push or do something with that, because these Goliaths are not going to be able to contest any number of siege tanks, and without tanks of its own, Iron is just going to have to take all the territory that, or to give up all the territory Crazio can take. And there we go with the tank blasts. Crazio's only got 3 tanks out there, so they might be flanked, and I think that's mainly due to these 2 Vultures which are still out there. And I think if you place a tank here, you could just control this bit of land here, just give yourself a little bit of a peace of mind. Crazio could also build a couple more turrets, because it's suffering from the same problem. It's got Wraiths overhead. It's tanks and Wraiths versus anything but tanks and Wraiths here. Oh, Iron's got a tank up now, that's good. And the same situation seems to be going on here. So Crazio in an awkward position. He's ahead somewhat, but also not, and it's being pressured here as well. Taking down a Wraith, that's good. I think Crazio's got the better composition. Almost no Vultures at all. I think that's good, because Vultures are, although they are cheap and they can lay mines, it's very... Oh, that's the third for Ironbot, and I think that's going to be the clincher. And I thought, why is Ironbot getting ahead in supply? And now I know it's because of that third. And if you've got 3 bases versus 2, you can suffer a bit in army composition, because if you've got tanks, you can just play the defender's advantage, and the other tanks are just not going to get in there. And although you are losing a couple of Vultures here and there, it's not going to matter too much in the end. and this small army is just going to delay all the reinforcements. A third of Crazy have finally been taken. Don't know if it's in time though, because Iron is running away with this in supply. Worker count of Iron is absolutely crazy, it's almost 80. And Crazy has got a larger army, that's surprising. And 80 workers on 3 bases, that's quite a lot. A couple of raids, pestering SUVs here, now being cornered by superior raid members of Irons, and Iron is going to... not going to take that raid. Crazier would be wise to build a couple of turrets too. As you can see, well, it's catching up in supply a little bit. What's on with this front? Not really much, because although there are expansive units such as a science vessel, a tank and a Goliath and a medic, this army of Irons is not really strong. Crazier can easily hold it up with a couple of tanks, meanwhile enabling other tanks to make their way across the map to the front at Iron's base. So that's an interesting situation, because both bots have sort of got the other one by the throat, but they've also got in their right hand a knife which is being held by the other one, and it's just a bit of a rough and tumble. And I think that Crazio's got to be careful for these raids, because they're just going to do damage in the end. It's not going to be worth it if there are not more turrets or Goliaths or any other kind of anti-air. And the supplies are evening up again. Crazio with the superior tank count, and there is no anti-air for Iron here as well, so that was the same problem to which we saw a couple of tanks for Crazio. Where are they? This tank line has been busted by these 4 raids, and now Iron should be on the lookout, because if these tanks reach any kind of position here where they can shell workers, it's going to be hard for Iron to fight that. And Crazio building a command center slightly off, and a turret, that's always good. I like that. Just build a couple of turrets, and it's going to be a bunker with a tank. And that makes it so much harder for a couple of vultures to run by, and Crazio looks like he's got this game by the balls. Iron's supply is falling. Crazio's got the superior composition, and Iron is being thrown back on its natural. The main is out, Crazio's main is out, but the problem for Iron is that this base is now being shelled. There are not enough tanks, there's still too many vultures. Crazio just do this with the better composition. And now with a 4th, so it's 1, 2, 3 versus 1.5 bases, because this show can't go on for very much longer. And I don't know where... oh, there is the high ground vision. This base is going to go down. That's very expensive, just throwing away 50-50 every time a wraith passes, because there are so many tanks on the low ground. Crazio now taking its time, not overcommitting, and Iron is in dire straits. The supply is dwindling, and Crazio is just taking the map, building bases, building units, and the 3rd is down. So this looks like a very good victory for Crazio. Just not overcommitting, taking its sweet time, and can't get out anywhere. This bridge is taken, this route to here has been cut off as well. And once this army is done, it will most likely rejoin the main army of Crazio, and then it's almost double the supply, and still, well, the worker count for Iron is pretty low, but still army supply wise it's imbalanced as hell. Crazio has had enough, is now going for the throat. But the question is, will we see battle cruisers or nukes or anything like that? But it looks like Crazio's got enough with the units it's got. Look at those raids, they're just a constant pest, and although the numbers are not as large, they are just so helpful in providing vision and picking off any kind of buildings which are unprotected. Another base for Crazio, and yeah, that's the game. So I think we are coming to the last game of today, and that is, what have we got? I picked a TVP, and I don't know really why I picked this as the last game. As the Terran, we've got TSMU Terran, which has ceased doing silly things and is now just doing standard play, which of course is TSMU standard play, should be taken with a grain of salt, but it's very effective and fun to watch usually. And I took the liberty of taking a replay as the opponent Oh god, I did it again, didn't I? Sorry. I selected something again. So let's do this once more. Took the liberty of taking the redoubtable Purple Wave, and Purple Wave is slowly but surely, it's not really as aggressive as, say, Magrave, but it is turning into a very complete AI, and that is always something I'd like to see. Where you're not just committing to a single trick or a single build order, but just try to raise your general level of play and your adaptiveness and things like that. It's always fun to watch. It's a bit of an aggressive build order, I must say, 3 bases, but TSMU sitting back, not doing anything really, just building a lot of bio and bio. Okay, so this is going to be a bio build versus Protoss, that's good. Yeah, that's not going to work. 2 comsats in operation, and now the Dark Templar has been shown. I'm sure there will be some kind of a turret or any kind of a science vessel, something like that, I don't know. But looks like Purple Wave has gotten away with it, because TSMU is not exerting any pressure whatsoever on Purple Wave. The map is still... oh god, this is going to be... it's going to be one of these matches with wacky build order by both players. We've got Reavers and Dark Templars versus a pure bio build, and whoever's going to... if anyone's ever going to make bio work, of course the potential is limitless, because you get so many units. Look, here we go. And the Protoss unit just don't know where to point their muskets. And although the death count in fire bats and marines is going to be pretty hefty, a well-microed marine wall like this with stim, with medics, is going to be nearly unstoppable, and Purple Wave will have its hands full to create enough units to be able to deal with that. TSMU is all over this. A small squadron is attacking here, a large squadron is attacking here, and is now taking lots of bases. Look at this number of barracks, it's just embarrassing. That's pretty effective, I must say, and although the Zealots in a straight up fight, they can do pretty well because they are so strong, but TSMU just microing, staying together, pulling them back, moving them, yo-yoing these units in and out, and even that Reaver is going to, yeah, you killed 10, but oh my god, it's just one endless wave of Marines. And I'm finally getting into the spirit of this broadcast, because for me this is what Brutal AI is about, just fun and games and awesome plays. It's something ridiculous like a bio play versus Protoss. A human would make a couple of storms and blast the hell out of that, but if you've got that 18-20k APM, you just have unlimited options with a large bio army like that. That's 90 army supply all in bio, and there is more coming where that came from. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 barracks. That's not an awful lot, and a little bit of tech dispersed through all the bases, a couple of gateways, and that is the game. So Purple Wave, sorry or anyone, I don't really know what you can do versus a bio build of TSMU. Probably a mech build, but as a Protoss, it would seem to be a veritable nightmare. And I'm just going to pick a couple of more games, because what will we show? I'd like to see Eric Hammer, because Eric Hammer has been working so hard, and you can see the size of the replays here. I took this one, that was versus Sim, that's also versus Sim, so let's take an Iron versus Eric Hammer, because those games are always fun, and Killerbot versus, well, why not versus B-Reaver, and I hope that I can get a bit of a couple of macro fest game, because I just like that, and have a bit of a happy ending to this game. Okay, so Eric Hammer versus Ironbot first, and the main reason Ironbot has been suffering as much as it has is because of Eric Hammer's ludicrous build. with the Hydras, Intermutas, Intra-Hydras, and if I have used my eyes correctly, I have spotted in an Eric Hammer game a couple of Defilers, which is always nice to have in a ZVT. So let's see if Iron has learned from its previous experiences versus Eric Hammer, and let's see what Eric Hammer is going to do. For now, it's going to be a couple of Hydras, and the interesting thing is that there is only one Vulture trying to harass. There are 2 or 3 now, and that's a really low Vulture count. That is a lot of factories though, with 1 base. And perhaps the answer is to Hydras killing your Vultures. It's just build a lot of Vultures. I don't really know. They are quite fragile, but if you get a decent number up, they can be okay. And if you've got a large number and use them effectively, it might be okay. It might be okay, it might not be, I don't know. The Hydras are now approaching the base, and the bunker is going to take care of a lot of Hydras, so that's something. And that's something that might also be abused. And I wonder, because Litterbot used to do this brilliant bunker rush strategy where it would just place a bunker somewhere here before a sunken was up and just feed it with Marines and repair it with SCVs. And Eric Hammer is now being beaten back by this tank, and although the map control isn't as complete as I would like to have had, there are only 4 or 5 Hydras out on the map, and for the rest a lot of sunkens. So Eric Hammer isn't really getting into full swing, and Iron should now be thinking about taking a base, but looks like it's just going for the push. Just bring its tank out here to the front, and should repair it though, because it's rather weakly. Instead, the SCVs prefer to keep those Vultures fully repaired. Those Vultures, of course, versus Sunkens and Hydras are not going to do anything. And this tank should be sieged right now. Whoa. Yeah, there we go. And protected by Vultures, of course. Okay, a small error there. Can't happen to anyone. Will Iron take a natural now? No, it won't. And this is the problem, because if you keep a couple of tanks with Vulture support, sacrifice the Vultures so the tanks can blast. This is not how you play TVT, not with the tanks in front. And once there are a couple of units and mines here to soak up the damage, tanks are a formidable weapon and can take down any number of Hydras. So Ironbot going to be playing full 1 base. Eric Hammer, now this base is not going to go up. I must say I'm very surprised Eric Hammer took it. And with a siege tank or 2 you can do pretty well against Hydra. Oh god, but oh, finally we've got the muta switch. Or the muta switch, the muta, how many mutas have we got? Got 1, 2, handful of mutas, lots of Vulture, couple of mutas, lots of Hydras. But Iron has got a large army, and that's not something that should be underestimated. But the Hydra-Muta combination is quite effective, and the tank numbers are pretty low, not really supported by anti-air, so I think that Eric Hammer will gain dominance of the map here in its own backyard, and then it's a 3 versus 1 base situation. Ironbot has been able to put a lot of pressure on Eric Hammer, but now the army supplies are about equal, and the army of Ironbot gets filtered in 1 by 1. No expansion yet, and worker-wise, Eric Hammer only at 19, Iron at 30, but really needs an expansion pretty quick, because Eric Hammer is going to run away with that. Supply is not climbing for Iron. Eric Hammers is still, and that's mainly because so many units are lost here as strays in the middle of nowhere for no good reason. And the positioning of Iron could be better, because this tank so exposed. Ideally, a couple of tanks, couple of Vultures, couple of mines. That is how it's done, and unsieging a tank in full face of the Hydras, it's not going to work, not ever. And now the Hydras are in there. Oh, and that is an ugly mine. But with the Overlord overhead, that's just a lot of damage. And although perhaps this wave isn't going to kill Iron straight out, this is what you do, and just put pressure on it, keep them together with some anti-air, with some Vultures, and chase those couple of Hydras back. Ironbot is coming back from this, and I don't know why. Eric Hammer, perhaps he overcommitted with the push. and the Mutas can't really make up their mind. They could easily kill a small number of Goliaths, but they like to harass more, and it's always attractive for an AI to harass, because you've got the idea you're poning noobs with a couple of Mutas, rounding up workers, or with vultures, rounding up hydras, but there are times where you need to be able to fight the good fight and the hard battles, and Iron seems to have found a composition which works. No expansion yet, and that's going to be very late, because this is going to mine out anytime soon, or will it move the command center. Arakhammer taking another base. It will need that, because this contain the army supply of iron is superior, and the composition is way superior as well. So a couple of queens, and I don't know. Let's have a peek, shall we? Brutling is done. Is done, so these queens can do something in the medium future. But this natural is going to fall, and if Arakhammer isn't very careful, the entire expansion is going to fall. Now Iron with the... Ooh, that is so close. That is absolutely so close of a timing for a natural. But I think Iron's got this game by the balls. The Goliaths are too strong for the Mutas, the tanks are too strong for anything else, and there goes the natural and the last lava as well. So Arakhammer falls to the same flaw that Iron used to fall versus Arakhammer. It's just relying too much on harassment, on beating the enemy with a clever composition or a clever trick. In the end, you're going to need a large standing army, fight hard battles, and just turn on the macro and let the blood flow. I am really impressed by it. Clinging to a very, very small, slight victory of one base, just it was so very, very close. Now with the natural operational in the end, making this work, and Arakhammer is just struggling to stay in this game, but it's not going to work. But the war train for Iron is rolling and finally has found the right composition, and I think if this is adaptive, it's pretty clever. If it's hard-coded, I don't know why it doesn't build a more suitable composition earlier, or in the game versus Grazio, which we saw. But Ironbot is sort of bouncing back, taking a game of Arakhammer, and I think that is well deserved, because it's been so brutally abused by Arakhammer over the last couple of weeks that I can only say GG. Okay, so really last game, because my voice is giving away. I took Marian Diveka, the author of Killerbot, and I can only praise this because, oh, you'll see later why. bwapi is one of those AIs which was tipped for a royal road into the last Student StarCraft AI Tournament Finals in 2016. And it's a piece of art of its own. You can see Killerbot now playing rather tight with a couple of Zerglings, and the Zerglings are chasing that stupid scouting probe, and that is really something bots should do away with. bwapi putting a bit of zealot pressure on the enemy, but with a Sunken and a handful of Zerglings. Not really going to work, and these Zerglings are going to bring that zealot back home. Now, where are we? Worker count 22 versus 12. bwapi doing very well on that department. Tech-wise, okay, because we've got the core up, we've got 2 gateways up, and we've got another gateway coming. And if I'm not mistaken, that's going to be... Oh, that's not a gateway, that's a Stargate. That's pretty pro. And still got some zealots left, so put a bit of pressure on the enemy, force 2 Sunkens, which is 2 drones and mining time and minerals lost for Zerg. And Marian Diveka, once the threat is over, going for more workers, bouncing back, trying to regain its footing economically. And this is just a beautiful, beautiful game in the making, I hope. More scouting going on. Corsair trying to pick up Stray Overlord. Hasn't found one yet. That's the way you do it. Just build a lot of zealots. Just build anything to gain Oh, that's the Corsair being kindly asked to leave the base by this Mr. Hydra. Both, of course, have perfect micro, and once more Hydra friends are going to come in. This Corsair, with a lot of APM and dancing quite prettily, is going to go away. And Killerbot with only 12 army supply of 2 bases, but shouldn't underestimate that, because at this moment it's not just building anything anymore, it's just building units. And then you've got a situation where you are into contact with the enemy. And why isn't bwapi building anything? It's waiting for tech, and it could do a lot with this money. A couple of goons would be in handy, because you wouldn't be prone to kiting so much by the Hydras. And Killerbot just going for Hydras, pressing H for victory. Oh, and there we go, that's pretty cleverly done. Are the Hydras coming back? The Hydras are coming back, but they are also distracted by the... Ooh, that's a very dangerous chase for these Hydras, because... But they've got to, because otherwise the workers will be in terrible danger. And... Oh, there we go again! Oh, that's a close shot. And you really, as a Zerg, need to remember that there is a shuttle with a Reaver out. And this is exactly what bwapi needs. Only 1 base, but doing such a number on the drones of Killerbots. That's insane. And the drones are dying left and right, and now more Hydras are coming. More Hydras are coming, but oh, 2 more die as well, and this Reaver is just doing such a lot of damage. Such a lot of damage. The shuttle is getting low, but it's still there, and it's paid for itself so many times. Oh, that's not a good shot. And another one. And as a Zerg, you really need to do something with that, because the worker count's getting low, and the army count for bwapi is triple that of Zerg at this moment. And although it's contained, these few Hydras are never going to get by these 4 Reavers. And the shuttle with the Reaver is still there. As a Zerg player, you can't allow that to happen. You need to do something about that quickly, and finally the muters come out, do something about that. But it's a 2-base situation with a relatively low worker count and a low army count, but there is no anti-air. Oh god, look at that, will you see that? There is no anti-air whatsoever. A couple of cannons, but Killerbot going straight for the throat. I don't know if that's very wise, because there is a goon and there are a couple of cannons, and the muter count isn't that high anyway, but Killerbot is just putting pressure on the enemy, taking another base while doing so, and that is how you do it. You put pressure on the enemy, then take another base, and the enemy will be shaken up. A couple of cannons lost, all the Reavers lost, and only now bwapi's got anti-air. And once you lose your shuttle here, you think, oh well, the muters are on the way, we need something to help fight that. And all the zealots it's made, it should keep at home, because they're going to fall needlessly and for free for Zerg at the hands, or at the, or what have they got, at the nose tubes of these muters. And these cannons are going to fall, and look at how aggressive Killerbot is, not taking any shit whatsoever from these goons, just going for the kill, taking a little bit of damage, but that is how you do a general calculation of possible outcomes, and just going for damage. And now, catching up, more Hydras coming, another base being taken, and Killerbot setting itself up beautifully for the later stages, tearing down the Nexus, and now going after the cannon, going after the goons. And bwapi is very hard pressed to mount any kind of effective defense, but right now it's a 3 base versus 1 base, and the 1 base is out. And if the 1 base is out, you've got no more money, and if you've got muters over your cliff, it's going to be GG no matter what you do. I doubt that even 1 probe is going to bring 1 mineral back. Oh, here we go, here comes the attempt, and oh, I've been too hasty. There goes 24 minerals. That's going to win the war, especially with Killerbot being all over the place. 4th base up, another base taken, and Killerbot breaking out of the box. And this was, I think, today's or this week's broadcast. We saw a lot of good games, and we also saw a lot of ways in which you can founder or make a small mistake, and that's unfortunate. I hope to be there again next week with a little bit better health and more of a plan. For this week, I thank everyone who has been... Oh, I need to show you one more thing, sorry. Because I don't think anyone's ever going to forgive me if I don't show you that. Because we've got the live stream, and I'll let this run a little bit until that is the live stream is loaded. Yeah, that's the GG. Because we've got a lot of commercials. That's not interesting at all. And this is more interesting to see Mutas devastate Protoss base, and Killabot really, once you let it out of the box, it's all over the map in a jiffy, and just with a huge worker count, and setting itself up with, look at all the, how many larvae will it have. That's production. It's got 31 larvae, so it can make anything instantly. A bit low on gas, that's surprising, but it's also spending such a lot of gas on Mutas, it's out of this world. Okay, so I think the stream will have loaded, and you can vote for the next game. You got the bot stats, you can donate, and where is the betting thing? So now we are watching Black Crow versus Dave Churchill, and that's Dark Eric, the author of Eric Hammer, of course. And let's ask if he's got the link for the betting thing, which I should have set up. Okay, so StarCraft Sprite Club, and there is a betting bot, and that is, you can also... Shut up, oh, we've got music. You can also watch the game, and then you've got a chat of your own, and you can bet if you sign up with virtual money. It's not for real money, just for fun, to see who's got the better idea, and you can see the rates of the players, and they will change depending on players voting for it. And as you can see, Dave Churchill's got better odds on Black Crow, and looks like Dave Churchill's University of Alberta bot is winning. So yeah, there we go. If you'd like to check that out, it's a nice thing. Otherwise, the stream's up, and please do check us out, follow us, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got 1,000 followers, but since we reached the 1,000, it's not really as big as it used to. It's not growing anymore. It's been on exactly 1,000 for ages. I don't know why that is. This was this week's broadcast. Hope to see you again next week. I say for now, goodbye.